Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3 o'clock with Stock. We're so glad you could be with us today. Give me just a moment to make sure folks can access the interpretation services that we have. Buenas tardes, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en otro foro comunitario en 3 en punto con SOC. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar el programa en español a través de una llamada de conferencia. Y el número aparece aquí en la pantalla, 646-749-3122. Y el código para entrar es 779-328-221. And that is simultaneous translation available for anyone that needs Spanish. So we always have that available for folks who need to have those services. And also we have always recorded English and Spanish versions of these episodes on our Facebook page and our YouTube page for those that can't be with us live. My name is Gabe Charles. I'm the Civic Engagement Manager here at Southside Organizing Center. Really glad to be with you, with Carlos right here next to me as the Civic Engagement team. Today is the first day that we're rolling out the new forum schedule where the Civic Engagement team will be on Mondays. So we're super glad that everybody is here with us. As always, we have various ways that you all can get in touch with us while we are still maintaining safety in our homes, but you can call us always at 414-672-8090. You can email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org, or you can visit our website, www.socmilwaukee.org. And we are happy to be in touch with you always. Send us a Facebook message as well. DM us on Instagram. There are many ways that you can all get in touch with us. Please also remember to fill out the SOC survey. We always have the survey going that will ask for your feedback about these live forums that we do. We want to make this as useful to our viewers and to our residents as possible. So please always be willing to give us that feedback about what you want to hear about, what you want to see, and who you want to hear from. So that is always in the comments. The link to that survey will always appear in the comments. All right, Carlos, take it away.
All right, sounds good. So as everyone can see, we are not wearing our masks today, and that's because everyone is working virtually from home. So if you see us without a mask, that's the reason why. And please don't forget to always wear your mask when you're out in public to protect your friends, your family, your neighbors, your neighborhood. And then if everyone could just write us a little something or other on our page, on the comment section. Just send us a hi, give us some questions, whatever you have in your mind. Just write a little something for us. And then we'd also like to do a disclaimer just to let everyone know that the views that are expressed here today are not necessarily views of SOC. It's funders or it's funders. So back to you, Gabe.
Yeah, and again, we just want to always be able to see who's here watching with us, because we only see the number of people that are watching, but we don't see who. So give us a hi, give us an emoji, a heart, a smile, whatever it may be, just to let us know you're here watching with us. And then, of course, always come with questions. Just a quick few announcements before we bring on Tammy and the executive director of the ACLU of Wisconsin, who's going to do a critical update about the shooting that happened in Kenosha yesterday. So quick announcements. Tomorrow is the 100th episode of this 3 o'clock with SOC online forum. It has been a long time coming. We have done everything that we can to make sure that we're still providing our residents with critical updates, information about voting, census, coronavirus, any housing resources, energy resources, all sorts of things during this pandemic. And we're so happy to celebrate with you all that 100th episode benchmark. So please register for that. The link to the registration for our Zoom party is in the comments. So go ahead and register for that, and then you will be live with us tomorrow. And yeah, it'll be a good time. We're looking forward to a good time tomorrow to celebrate that benchmark of ours. Also, like I said, this week we are officially rolling out the new schedule for this forum. So today you are with us, the Civic Engagement team. Tomorrow is our 100th episode, but typically Tuesdays will now be the youth day, where Taylor will come on with some of our youth organizers to run the show and talk about what they're up to and give other information that they're going to talk about. Then Wednesdays is our Spanish day, so everyone will be on in our Spanish language forum day. Thursday is going to be devoted to COVID-19. And this week we do have Jamal Smith coming from the Office of Violence Prevention and somebody talking about domestic violence. And then Friday is going to be the day devoted to organizing, leadership, and community development. And then this Friday, we will have MPD District 2 Captain Salazar come on with us. So we've got a stacked week for everybody with this new layout of our new forum. And today we're going to be talking with our phone canvassers after Tammy gets a chance to talk with the executive director of the ACLU so that we can get to know them better. They are a critical part of our team as we have all been quarantined and working from home. They are our phone bankers getting out that critical information. So with that, I will bring on Tammy so that she can introduce our guest, Chris.
Thank you, Gabe and Carlos. Great job. Glad to see that folks are sharing the forum in greater ways and getting access to you all. Well, folks, it's another disturbing, sad, upsetting, unacceptable day in Wisconsin. You all by this time have heard of the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha by police officers and more than likely have viewed that video. And so what we would like to do at this time is help everyone understand what are the processes that engage when this in the system when these type of incidents occur. And so very fortunate to have with us for the first time on the forum, although his staff has been with us often, Chris Ott, the executive director of the ACLU. So help me welcome him. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Tammy, and everyone. I appreciate it. I mean, I wish it were for a happier reason, but I really appreciate the chance to join you today. And congratulations on episode 100.
Yeah, we're getting there. And I want to thank you and your team. Karen has been on, Molly has been on. And so we're very grateful. There are so many confusing and heavy and ongoing, like a deluge of information in many arenas that we're just trying to make sense of and help our residents on the near south side and the wider community understand. That started with the spring election and then police brutality and racial justice. And here we're back at another tragic action involving police and an African-American member of our state community. So can you give us a sense, Chris, under general circumstances, how does the system sort out justice in a matter like this? We do have the governor's executive order calling for a special session on police accountability and transparency, his announcement that he's dispatching the National Guard there for an isolated time, and we have the press release from the Department of Justice investigation. But help us make sense of this, Chris. What is your understanding of what's going to happen moving forward?
Well, unfortunately, the system does not have a good track record at all of sorting out things like this in a just way. And so, we are less than 24 hours into the response to this, and so there's still a lot that we're just going to need to wait and see. Especially since the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota at the end of May, and the nationwide reaction that we've seen to that. I mean, we hope. I mean, I hope that we are at or getting closer to a tipping point in favor of greater police accountability and for racial justice. But certainly we can't take that for granted. And so that's why it's important to watch very closely what is happening in Kenosha right now, and appreciate everyone who has paid attention and gone into the streets already to
absolutely
feel One thing that I wanted to let people know is that we, the ACLU of Wisconsin for many years has had a legal observing program in which we, when we can, we can't do it all the time, but when we can, we send volunteers, sometimes our staff members too, but we get a lot of volunteer help. People going to things like protests and demonstrations, and just keeping an eye out to try to make sure that the police, or to make sure that no one interferes with the rights of protesters and demonstrators to express themselves and doesn't mistreat them. And so even though we're fresh off the DNC last week where we had some protests going on, we are sending a group of, I believe, 15 or 20 legal observers to Kenosha today to try to help out this evening for a protest that, as I understand it, is planned for about 6 o'clock.
And so in a case like this, the Department of Justice announces it's going to handle the investigation. Is that typical when there's a police shooting of this matter?
Well, I'm not sure how typical it is, but it seems to me, my first take on it was that this was a welcome development. We saw something similar happen for what this is worth in Sheboygan. You probably remember early in July, a police officer killed a man named Mr. Kevon Ruffin, and if I remember correctly, the Wisconsin Department of Justice handled that investigation too, and that I think is helpful to not just allow the police department that was directly involved in an incident to investigate itself. Still, we can't take a just outcome for granted, but it is good to see some outside oversight in a matter like this.
Yeah, so the Department of Justice press release says that they're investigating this, and they're being assisted by the Wisconsin State Patrol and the Kenosha County Sheriff, that the officers have been placed on administrative leave, that they're going to review the evidence, they're going to turn over those reports and any investigative reports to the prosecutor for investigation to see if charges will be filed. And so, as you said, we haven't seen a lot of prosecution of officers in these type of incidents. Hopefully the tide has turned and there's going to be a lot more accountability, and then once they turn over these investigations, the police have to provide a full report within 30 days. And then there'll be a decision. And so, folks, we'll see if any immediate action is taken, but that's all the action that is taken for now. Now, what role would the ACLU play, if any, in cases like this, Chris? I know that you've done class action type suits, like we saw here in Milwaukee, the successful law settlement of the stop and frisk. In regard to the police brutality, is there a role for the ACLU or not quite yet?
Well, I can't say at this point that there will be a direct legal role. Don't want to speculate about that. I mean, thank you for remembering and mentioning the work that we did with the Milwaukee Police Department, which it was good news that we reached the settlement with the city that we did, and that of course requires continual monitoring. But that effort took there was years of work went into that, and so we do take this work on, but we don't take it on lightly, and so it just in the and it's a big state. We made that work in Milwaukee a priority because of Milwaukee being the biggest city and having the state's largest Black population, as well as one of the state's largest Latinx populations and others. But there's a lot of territory to cover, and so I can't say that we will take on a new class action lawsuit or something like that. But this certainly is something that we care about in general. And, we went into action as far as we could so far in a couple of ways. I mentioned the legal observers that we are sending already. And for what it's worth, we put out a statement first thing this morning, just condemning what had happened, and not just what had happened, but putting it in this broader context that unfortunately we see again and again and again. Police terrible mistreatment or killings of Black people, of brown people, when in fact what they should be doing is protecting and serving communities, and so often we see the exact opposite. There's still a lot that we don't know about this incident, but I watched the video last night, and as you said, many of us probably have by now, and it's very, I can't understand how someone walking away from police officers and getting into his car requires the use of deadly force. I mean, I haven't had a chance to look at the news for a couple of hours. The last I heard was that Mr. Blake is still alive, and I certainly hope that he is and makes a recovery. But watching that video was just, I could not understand why the officers acted the way that they did.
So folks, one way that you could get involved if this has moved you is obviously to participate in the protest, but the other piece is, how can folks get trained to be legal observers, or what's the process for that, Chris?
I don't know that we have a training scheduled right now. I need to check on that. We just did, in the lead up to the DNC, we did some trainings, and over the years, and then especially we got a big sort of boost of interest right before the DNC. We have more than 400, maybe it's even higher than that, but at least 400 trained volunteer legal observers. And we'll probably be looking for more.
And where should they contact Chris? Where can they?
Thank you. We publicize those on our Facebook, our ACLU of Wisconsin Facebook page. That is the events page on our Facebook page, which is visible even if you don't use Facebook. That's sort of the main place where we put the information about all ACLU events in Wisconsin. So you can watch for it there, and it would be great to have more people get involved in this work, especially people from parts of the state outside of Milwaukee. We just because of the Milwaukee's population, we do get a lot of people there, and we need legal observers there. But as unfortunately events today or yesterday rather have shown, we need legal observers in other parts of the state, and so just appreciate people's willingness to help out in that way.
So let's remind folks, one thing folks you need to know is that Governor Evers signed an executive order calling for a special session on policing accountability and transparency. A little later, he also has dispatched or given permission for the Wisconsin National Guard to support local law enforcement in Kenosha. We're sharing those links with you. You can see the actual press release and details from the governor on the executive order, on the National Guard dispatching, on the DOJ investigation there for you. Chris, thank you for coming on with such late notice on such a critical issue, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the chance. Take care.
You as well. All righty, I'm going to turn the program back to Gabe.
Thank you. And to Carlos as well. He will be on with us. Yeah, how great that we could have that critical guest on during such an important moment. Good luck to anybody that is going out into the protesting tonight. Make sure you stay safe. But yeah, so we'll move into the next segment now, which is we're going to talk with some of our canvassers about some of the work that they've been doing. So we were able to get 2 of them to come on today. Javier Acevedo and Ana Rodriguez. So glad to have you both here.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. So we do have some other canvassers as well. Stacey Carlos couldn't be with us today, and she is a current canvasser. But we also have in the past had Andy Guzman, Daniel Jimenez, and Jeanette Torres as well, who also made calls with us. And we miss them, but are very glad that they're out doing what they want to be doing and, you know, prospering in other ways. But hey, thanks for being here, you two. So how about you?
Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday. Well, you know, as happy as I can be given the circumstances, right? But why don't you give us a little background about yourselves and about your connection to the South Side, or how you got to know SOC, just to give the viewers a little idea about yourselves.
All right, I can start off. So my name is Ana, and then I've been doing outreach in Milwaukee for about 15 years now. I started off with Guadalupe Head Start, you know, and then from there progressed to like UMOs, the LULAC, Latinas, SOC. I've done plenty of events with SOC in the past. And so, like I said, I've been involved in the Southside community for about 15 years and pretty much been raised here my whole life. So.
Awesome. What about you, Javi?
Hey, so Javier Acevedo here. Thanks for having me. My connection to the South Side, I grew up here in Milwaukee. I actually grew up between Milwaukee and Puerto Rico throughout my teen years. But over the past 10 years, since I did move back from Puerto Rico about 10 years ago, I've lived on the South Side. I actually went to Pulaski High School growing up, freshman through senior year. And right now, actually, I work within the Southside community as Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 for my regular job. But I'm extremely committed to the well-being, of course, of, you know, my Southside, my community, my Milwaukee, as well as making sure that, you know, things are going good. But yeah, I grew up here on the South Side, and I don't live too far right now. I think I'm still technically in the South Side. I live in the West Milwaukee area, but I still call this the South Side area.
Nice. And even if it's not in our specific district, you have it in your heart, and that's what's most important. But yeah, so I assume most people know what you do with SOC specifically. So these are our phone canvassers. If you've gotten calls from SOC in the last few months, it has likely been from one of these two or some of the other folks that I mentioned. But they are making sure that you all get critical information about the census, support in filling it out if you need that support. And then even before that, they were doing calls about the election that happened April 7th, asking about people's experience, if they were able to vote, if they did vote, how did they vote, if not, how come, just to get us that information, because what happened on April 7th, we know, was a complete disaster and just gross voter disenfranchisement and actual complete risk of life, right? So we were having them canvass for that information as well. But yeah, so lately it has been about the census. So what would you say you like most about the phone banking or the phone canvassing that you have been doing for these last few months?
I can start off. So I guess some of the things that I've liked is that, you know, just getting a hold of somebody, you know, maybe that hasn't even left their house at all, you know, just their enthusiasm and their voice of somebody calling them and checking up on them, or seeing, you know, if they need anything, you know, how are they doing? You know, it kind of gets them excited, and it gets us excited because we're like, oh, you know, we're here for you. You know, you can give us a call whenever you want. And then just trying to get them, you know, to open up a little bit, you know, and it's because it's not all about the census as well. We're here for the community. So it's like, how are you doing? You know, and so that's people get excited.
Yeah, I agree with Anna on that point. You know, that there are those really rewarding moments where you get someone who answers the phone call who is absolutely just, you know, thankful that you called and thankful that you're doing this about the census, because they're just as passionate as you are about making sure that people are completing the census. So, you know, those rewarding moments have actually been really nice. I've had quite a few of those, you know, with individuals who actually, you know, drag on the conversation in a good way, you know, for 15, 20, 30 minutes. Because like Anna said, they've been locked up, they've been quarantined, they've been isolated. They're laid off from work, their kids are home, so they've been home all this time. But a few of the other, some of the more rewarding moments, what I really like about it, for myself personally, it's kept me busy during these trying times. It's the ability to just disengage from my personal life and just get on a phone call and just continuously just make these calls and connect with people on a regular basis. It's been good for me as well. So I really like the opportunity that that has been given to canvas for SOC.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And yeah, I love that you highlighted that it's not just about us getting the information out about the census. It's also just connecting with the residents that we would be connecting with in other ways if not given the pandemic, and really caring that people are taken care of and get resources that they need. Because in the conversations you have, I'm sure things come up like, I need housing resources, my energy is about to get shut off. And then we can link them to the resources that they need based on those conversations that they wouldn't have had without you making those calls. So that's really, really cool. So those are some good things, but what about some challenges? I'm sure it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time with phone banking. I know it can be difficult. So what would you say are some of the challenges with it?
I guess some of the challenges.
I guess for me, some challenges would be having those individuals on the opposite end, right? That aren't too receptive to the phone calls, getting hung up on. We get a lot of that. Getting hung up on. I don't even say my first name or hi before I'm getting hung up on. I guess for me, that would be it. Not being given, the time or the opportunity to explain, why we're calling, who we are. We're this, amazing nonprofit community roots, organization on the South Side here to help. And, I guess the non-receptiveness for some from South Side members, community members have been difficult to cope with. But I guess for me, that would be a challenging thing, would be, how do I, challenging myself to be more engaging in that first quick 3 seconds so that people aren't turned off and quickly hang up on me. So that's for me, it's been a challenge.
And not only that, it's also, everyone's going through something different, it's also a mental thing. When you call them, you don't know how they're going to react. People are infected with COVID, unfortunately, at home. So, they're like, well, we're struggling with this and that, or, I'm having trouble with my kids. So it's like you're being a mentor as well as, a caller. So, and you got to know the line. So the challenge is finding, figuring out the line of how much info can I take in and how much can I help you? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Yay. Okay. You got back. How you did.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think when looking at both perspectives, it's people, hanging up and stuff like that. But then as well, people that do answer what we go through with them, the challenges that we have to achieve and go.
Right. And I'm sure it can be difficult sometimes when you have a resident that might express they're really going through something and almost feeling powerless. Like you can link them to resources, but at the end of the day, that's not all it takes, obviously. And there's so much going on, and but I think even just having someone to talk to about it can be helpful sometimes.
Yeah.
So like playing a little counselor role almost sometimes. But yeah, any questions on your end, Carlos, for them?
Well, I'd just like to say that I work with these guys every day, and these two are like straight up rock stars. Same thing with Stacy Carlos. I mean, I can always count on them to make that. They're going to be making really amazing calls and connecting with our people on the South Side. Because, we're not just doing calls to motivate people to do census. We're also a community association that wants to reach out to the residents and let the residents know that if they have any questions, if there's something on their minds, that they can reach out to us and we can help them out in however we can. So I can always count on these guys to have that conversation with our residents and to reassure them that we're there for them.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, I would love if you guys could share some of the highlights from conversations you've had with residents. I'm sure certain things stand out for you all, or maybe you have certain memories of conversations you had. Do you mind sharing some highlights or some of those moments?
Yeah, sure. So I guess one of my biggest highlights that I don't think I could ever forget is talking to a gentleman that was I believe 101, and just saying that this is not the first time he's gone through something like this. You know, it's a little different for him now because he's older, of course. His health is more different. So he does have nurses calling him in, you know, every week or every day, just checking up to see how he's doing. Because of course, you know, the COVID affects more than other people that are younger. And just hearing stories that he was saying, you know, and those are the ones that, you know, it's a challenge. Like, how do you cut him off without being rude, you know? So, but those are also the memories that you're like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how many lifestyles people have lived, or, you know, how many decades people have gone through and maybe experienced, because this happened a long time ago as well, a little different, but, you know, it was the same, you know, having to protect themselves, how to take care of yourself, and, you know, be safe.
Yeah, that's wild. Someone that's 101. I can only imagine the things that they've seen.
Right.
What about you, Javier?
Yeah, me, a similar story. I had an older Southside resident. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was in her 80s. I want to say it was like 81. I might be seeing that wrong in my head. It might be 87, one of those two. But she was so happy that I was calling. You know, at first, one of the first things that I'll always remember this. So I said, hey, how's it going? How are you today? My name's Javier from the Southside Organizing Center. The first thing she said was yelling out loud, what do you want? What are you selling? You know, and I'll always remember that opening liner, you know, like, what are you selling? What do you want? And it's like, no, I'm not selling anything. But if I can take a quick 2 minutes, you know, it went on and on, honestly. I actually texted or called Carlos, and I talked to him about it. I was like, hey, I was just on the phone for like almost an hour. So if you don't see, you know, that I was logging in calls, it was because this one phone call, it took me almost an hour. But we talked about the census. We talked about the elections. We talked about the Southside resident, or her inner side, Southside neighborhood, and how her neighbors were going through issues. And we eventually got to talk about, you know, why I was calling was the census, and she hadn't completed. She actually relies on a niece of hers to actually come over and do those things for her. So in her head, she thought that it was done, but her niece had actually happened to be there while I was calling. So her niece quickly grabbed the phone as well and said, who are you? What do you want? You know, what are you trying to sell something to my grandmother? Or, you know, it was really interesting to talk with her too, and to let her know as well the importance of completing the census. So I actually showed her niece how to do it online, and we actually got her niece and grandma to fill out the census. So it was really interesting to have that dynamic play out.
Yeah, definitely. And then that kind of goes into another question I have, is just like, walk us through moments that you've helped someone fill out the census on the phone call, because that's something else that, in addition to just giving the information, you want to provide that support. Like, if you want to go through it while you're on the phone with me, I can sit here and help you through it. You know, if you have questions about one of the prompts or the questions that come up, like, I can be that person for you. So tell us about some of those moments.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, we work with both, you know, a laptop and phone. So when they say, oh, but I don't have this or that information, I said, there's always a way. There's a will, there's a way, right? Either you call in, you use your phone, or you go on your laptop. And if you don't know how to work a laptop, we can guide you with it. You know, we open ours and we see exactly the same thing. All right, download this website. And then on there, go do the following. And then after that, you know, so we do step by step. So they know exactly what to do, so that, you know, that they can show somebody else how to do it as well. And so that's the process of, you know, doing it with them.
Yeah. And we've pretty much improved the way we are doing it to make it a little bit hassle free, right? we've incorporated, sending our residents text messages, which has been, I think, for me, ideal. I myself am a very text messagey person, so if it's like, hey, I don't have too much time, can you just send me a text with the information? I know that that's been really great for our Southside residents as well. So walking through the process, you get that phone call, we explain who we are and why we're calling, of course. We're going through, like we talked about, we're going through SOC's website, what it means, what you can find on there. This is our number. Have you filled out the census? And if they haven't, guiding them through that process, letting them know that they can call by phone if they don't want to do it online, or they can do it online if they don't want to call by phone or fill it out in the mail. So it's always interesting to see, how many people are actually getting mail and respond to mail versus, who's more tech savvy and would prefer to do it either by phone or through the internet, which is fairly easy as well. I know it took me less than 5 minutes to do mine on the online, and I know it normally can take 5 to 8 to 10 minutes depending on the individual, but I always tell people it takes 5 minutes. It takes no time. One of the biggest questions I've got from some of our Spanish-speaking Southside residents is, what is it? What is that all about? I hear it on the radio. This is the third phone call I've gotten. Why do I need to fill this out? And we explain, of course, one big element is it has nothing to do with immigration, and I think that's a huge fear as well for our Latino Southside community as well. So explaining to them that it has nothing to do with immigration. It has nothing to do with employment status or immigration status. It's been interesting to navigate those dynamics.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And then like feeling really good if you can let somebody know that might have been worried about it or felt like it wasn't theirs to do, that they could actually do it, and they have a valid place in this country and they can express that through the census, right? Yeah.
I'd like to add that as you guys can see, these guys are really talented individuals, and this is why it's a pleasure to work with these guys. They're problem solvers, and they're always trying to figure out how to make it work. And I love to hear that they're having our conversations with their residents, even if it takes an hour. I know we're trying to get those numbers, but really what we're trying to do even more than that is make sure that we have a connection with the South Side. So when Javier is like, hey, I had a conversation with somebody for an hour, it's like, that is so great. And I'd like to say that Stacy's so good at that too, and so is Anna, at having these connections with our residents. So I'm so happy to work with these guys every single day.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you. I know we have our weekly meetings, and I just love hearing about what you've done in the week and people you've talked to during the week. But truly, thank you for doing this. You both have full-time jobs in your day job, right? And then you still commit to doing all of these hours of phone banking as well. And I just think that's so special, and we're so lucky to have you on the team. So I'm really glad that people got to get to know you today and see the faces behind the phone calls.
Sorry.
Don't hang up on me.
Yeah, exactly. What is your message to our viewers right now?
You get that phone call,
the census is a critical thing, and so and fill out your census. It's something that we really need. It's what helps the community out. You want better schools, you want better roads, you want better stuff. Hey, that's how we get it. It's one little piece of paper, doesn't ask for much information, but just your name, your birthday, and who lives with you, and all that. That's all that helps get all that funding for the community. So it's only once every 10 years. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Got it, Anna. And register to vote.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
No doubt.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we're going to be transitioning to doing voter registration calls as well soon. So if you've gotten a call from them already, you might be getting another one about voter registration.
Right.
So again, answer those phones. They are friendly, smiling faces, as you can see. Super great gente. So make sure you're answering those phones. Ana, Javi, thank you so much for being with us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Carlos.
The same. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Carlos, what do we got up next?
It looks like we are going to engage our audience a little bit. Going to read some of their comments. So, Gabe, do you want to do that, or you want me to?
Yeah, let's see who's over here.
Okay.
So we've got Trine, our faithful viewer. Stacy as well. Hey, I hope you heard our shout out, Stacy. We love you. We've also got Diana, of course. Thanks for being here. Marlene, our staff, is helping us out with comments today, so thank you. We've got Carmen, Maria, Tina Robinson, hello. Y Garibel, hello. Also, Charlie, thank you all for being with us and for listening in. I hope you all enjoyed getting to know the rest of our team that makes our team so vital and successful, thanks to our phone canvassers. Stacy says, yay, thank you for including me. Of course, we couldn't forget about you.
Oh, yeah, you're a rock star, Stace. You know that.
Absolutely. Cool. And then what about after that? We've got, I think, a coronavirus video, right?
Yep. I think Marlene has a coronavirus video for us to share.
Awesome.
So, Marlene.
Hi, I'm Maritza and I work at Walker's Point Community Clinic. I'm a medical assistant and community health worker, and I want to show you how to wear your mask properly. This is really important so that when you cough or sneeze, particles don't come out of your mask through your nose or through your mouth, and it protects you from other people's particles. So first, whenever you're about to put a mask on, you're gonna sanitize your hands or wash your hands before you even put on the mask. You're gonna get in all those little crevices in your nails. Don't forget about the thumb and your wrists. And then you're gonna take your mask, and there's gonna be a part, often there's a part that has a little ridge for the nose. And you're gonna grab it by the strings and place the mask on your face. Notice how the bottom is covering my chin. That's good. Notice how the top is covering my nose. Also good. If there's a part in your mask that has a little plastic part, press that down. This helps to make sure that air can't get through there. And that's it. Later on, after I do my shopping or whatever it is that I'm doing, and I want to take off my mask, I'm also going to sanitize. And I clean my hands, because who knows what I touched. I'm going to grab my mask by the strings and take it off like this. This is how not to wear a mask. Wrong. Nose out, also wrong. Hanging out on the chin, not great either. Doesn't really do its thing, doesn't do its job. So we want to make sure that our entire mouth and nose is covered by the mask. And there you have it.
Nice.
What an awesome video. That lady is so charismatic. She had me smiling.
Yes, that's actually a good friend of mine, Marita Payo, a medical assistant at the Walker's Point Clinic. So glad that she was able to do that. And thank you to Marlene for organizing that video. Also a good friend of Marlene's. Thanks for making sure we got that video, Marlene. And then now it is my turn to give a civic update. So I'll say bye for now, Carlos, and then I will bring you back on in just a second.
Okay.
So we got a lot of info for everybody today. Mostly that we talked about with the canvassers, right? But I also want to let you all know what's coming up this week in terms of meetings. So today at 1:30, there was an ethics board meeting. There were two actually. So one was closed and one was just an additional special one. And then we have the Millennial Task Force meeting on Wednesday at 8 a.m. The CCC is going to be meeting on Wednesday as well at 9 a.m. So you can be sure we'll give an update on what goes down there. And then a Fire and Police Commission meeting on Thursday. So definitely tune into those if you're able to. And if not, tune in with us and we will be sure to give you the update. And then also, like I said earlier, there is going to be a preliminary budget hearing given by the mayor and the director of the budget administration in Milwaukee on Wednesday from 5 to 7. And you can register for that on for their Zoom session, but then it will also be live streamed on the city channels that I have shown you all how to walk through, and on channel 25 on the TV as well. So that's when they'll likely be discussing some of the feedback that they got in those budget priority surveys that we posted about and talked about on former forums. But it appears that the survey is still open, and in the announcement for this preliminary budget hearing, the mayor did urge people to still be filling out this budget priority survey. So it is still open for people to do. It's available in 3 different languages: English, Spanish, and Hmong. So it is accessible for folks to give your thoughts about what you think the budget priorities should be. And again, this is just a preliminary hearing. The budget talks will continue through September, through October, and we'll be talking about it next week as well. So just that link should be in the comments as well. That gives you the link for the survey so that you can all be filling out that survey and giving your thoughts on what the budget priorities should be. Other than that, I, again, am so thankful that the phone canvassers could come on and talk about the importance of the census and making sure that folks are filling it out and talking about how they engage with our residents about the census. And I, again, am just in awe of how great they are with those conversations and making sure folks feel comfortable with it, answering any questions about it. And we are always available to answer those questions. So even if you haven't gotten a call yet, or if you finished your call or didn't answer your call, if you have that text message in your inbox from them and still haven't gotten around to filling out the census, please go ahead and do that. But yeah, please fill out the census. The census takers are out and about in the community, and they're also in both knocking on doors and in different stores and locations. And we will be sharing where those locations are, that the mobile assistants will be set up at a table or standing on a corner. We'll make sure to share that on our Facebook page as we get that information. But with that, I will just leave you all with a video about what the census takers look like when they knock on your door, and then we'll be back with you.
Behind every 2020 census taker's mask is a friendly neighbor. They're teachers, retirees, vets, people committed to doing right by getting the count right. If you haven't responded yet, they'll be stopping by to ask some simple questions that will inform how billions in federal funds are spent on local services every year for the next decade. So when they come knocking, say hi from a safe distance and do your part to support your community. Time is running out. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Yes. And if you have filled out your census, how about you give us a little thumbs up in the comment section so that we know you've done it, and we get that validation from everybody that, yes, I've done it and I have made sure that I'm counted. But yes, now I would love to welcome Andrea, who is going to talk with Melinda from the Benedict Center. We're so excited to have both of them on. So Andrea, take it away. You're muted, but I can see you.
There I go.
Yes.
Sorry, I was waiting in the background. I forgot to unmute. Hi, how's it going?
It's going really well. Really glad to have you on again and to be able to talk more about what's going on with the Benedict Center. So go ahead and take it away and we'll be back.
Excellent, thank you. I'm Andrea Rodriguez. I am the Leadership Coordinator for Southside Organizing Center. We're going to be having a regular segment where we bring Melinda Hughes from the Benedict Center on from the diversion program. Is Melinda with us right now?
Yes, I'm here.
She is. She's coming through right now. So we have Melinda Hughes, Program Director of the Benedict Center's Sisters Diversion Program. Hi, Melinda. How are you?
I'm well, Drea. How are you doing today?
Much more caffeinated than I was since our 8:30 this morning meeting. So thank you.
We're a
We're
little
here
more
now,
lively
and
in the afternoon.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so glad we just transitioned from talking about the census, because those dollars are so important, especially for a lot of the work that you do at the Benedict Center. And we'll be having you on twice a month, rotating and just kind of learning more about programming with the diversion program and how we can help at, viewers of Southside Organizing Center and the forum. Can you go ahead and just share with us a little bit about the program?
Sure. The Sisters program overall, you would like?
Just a tiny bit, just to give people who might have not have joined us last week, and then we can get
Got
a little
it.
deeper in.
Okay. Yeah, the Sisters program works with adult women who are involved in the street-based sex trade. So we are out there in an outreach van, and we have 2 drop-in centers, one of which is located in Hope House on the south side of Milwaukee, and that's Second and Orchard. Thanks for the graphic there. Yes, that shares our information about where our drop-off centers are, drop-in centers. And the outreach van works its way through the south side and north side, and all of those programs run Monday through Thursday. Doesn't look like it has the hours there, so our south side drop-in center is open from 10 to 2 Monday through Thursday, and the services are all the basic needs that you might imagine: food, clothing, hygiene items, as well as we have a counselor and a case manager available at the drop-in center during those hours as well. So it's a great resource for women, again, involved in the street-based sex trade, and people can refer colleagues or friends that they think might need some help. Almost 100% of our Sisters clients are self-referred or outreach referred or referred by other fellow programs. So we're proud of that fact that a lot of folks are finding their way to us and working with our staff to address any issues or make any changes that they wish to in their life.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Southside Organizing Center does have a partnership with the Benedict Center and the diversion program. Part of that community engagement plan that we have is to make sure we're bringing more public education about what you're doing with your mission and the work that you're doing with residents, especially on the South Side. So as we're doing that, can you just tell us a little bit about some of the differences in law regarding human trafficking and prostitution, street-based sex trade prostitution? Thank you.
Yes, certainly. Yeah, I find that there's, as much as people are familiar with the phrase sex trafficking or sex trafficking in the news, when we get into the details of the law, I think sometimes people aren't aware of that as much. So basically, in a nutshell, any sort of commercial sexual exploitation for a person under the age of 18, whether it seems to be consensual or chosen by the young person or not, any sexual contact that profits someone else is under the law as sex trafficking. So there's the way to remember that is there's no such thing as a child prostitute. There are only children who are being trafficked sexually. And we work with adults specifically. So what the law looks for is whether or not there are elements of force, fraud, and coercion, or coercion. It only takes one element of those. And there's lots of different ways that coercion in particular can happen. Even something like a landlord saying that you can stay in the apartment even though you can't pay the rent as long as you perform a sex act or something like that. And I know that this is a difficult topic, so I just want to kind of acknowledge that for your listeners. It's hard stuff to talk about, but it is the reality that can happen. And in terms of creating a safety net for our clients and for community members, it's really important that we be aware of these things that can happen where someone decides to essentially profit off of somebody else's need for a place to stay or off of their addiction to a substance. And that's what we look for in terms of exploitation. So
absolutely. And at the end of the day, these are still our neighbors. These are residents. And we at Southside Organizing Center are all about empowering each other, even those who might be affected by this. So we thank you so much. Tell me a little bit about what is needed for someone to actually really exit the life of being in a street-based sex trade.
Yeah,
What's the reality?
Yeah, it's a combination of resources, and there are some serious gaps in what those resources are in Milwaukee. So oftentimes, because we work with adults, oftentimes the person may have a pretty significant substance use issue. They've been self-medicating to deal with emotional pain or previous trauma, and so they have to deal with a substance use problem, as well as a lot of times, because we work with street-based sex trade, individuals may or may not have any sort of housing that is free from exploitation or free from, the issues themselves, right? So if somebody's trying to exit the life, they need a place to stay that doesn't involve someone exploiting them for profit or gain. So housing, substance treatment, and really like a stipend in place so that they can make a transition to seeking employment, that sort of thing, job training, because it's whether at the end of the day, everybody has bills that they have to pay or things that they need to survive. And, if we're leaving one way of getting those needs met, then we need sort of a transition period in order to make those big changes. Because it's pretty easy to fall into this as a survival strategy, but it's pretty hard to climb one's way out of it. And we just need to wrap our arms around folks as a community and help them make whatever changes they wish to make for healthier and safer lives.
Excellent, excellent. And we're so thankful for the Benedict Center and the interventions that they provide for residents that are vulnerable. I know you and I had a good conversation this morning regarding what can we do that's more proactive, what's more preventative. Tell me a little bit about where the Benedict Center feels about that.
Yeah, I mean, we at the Benedict Center is in the Sisters program, we're definitely an intervention program. So we're helping folks who already have this issue and are, trying to deal with the many variables and the trauma and the substance use issues, and oftentimes they've been ticketed or arrested and they have those criminal charges. And so when they're trying to make changes, we're actually trying to help them address and reverse some of these processes that have happened. But as we're helping folks that have already been affected by an issue, we always have to think about prevention too. And how does someone end up struggling with something like sex trade work? Well, there's a couple different routes into sex trade, but if we know that trauma is one of those routes, and we know that substance abuse is one of those routes, and family trauma in particular. So people who are particularly vulnerable for sex trade, for being sort of groomed into sex trade or enticed into sex trade, are people who are vulnerable to exploitation in general. So, I know we had talked about sort of like thinking as a community about where do we have holes in the safety net? Where do we have young people that end up in difficult circumstances, and that the systems aren't really poised well to be helpful in a prevention way. They're more designed to be intervention than prevention. So I thought we maybe could ask the audience, like, what would it take? What do we think would be helpful to young people to have positive things that they're moving toward instead of something like substance use or running away or doing some sort of sex work in order to get basic needs met?
Absolutely. And now that we're having so many great conversations about diverting funding from MPD and allowing more community involvement and programs to happen, maybe there's some great organizations. I know SOC, we have our youth organizer program. We work with YES as well. LIT is another great organization. We also have Block as well. But, if you want to go ahead and drop in the chat any youth programs or any mentorship programs that we can have to make sure we're being preventative and mentoring our young people so they don't fall into any of these traps. I think that's wonderful. We do got to wrap up. We didn't have a lot of time. I know it was a very difficult evening, so I'm glad we had our ACLU people on here. Real quick though, just remind us a call of action of what you need for donations, and we do have a link for the comments.
Yeah, we are still seeking donations of like new underwear of various sizes, and socks are always the short, still summer style socks are still important. Or if people are more leaning toward hygiene items, small travel size deodorants are always important and a need for our ladies a lot.
Excellent. And Marlene did put in a comment, a link to your donation page and for those items. Thank you so much, Melinda. We look forward to having you on again soon.
All right. We appreciate your support. Take care.
Gracias. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and close up with Gabe next, or perhaps Carlos.
Hey, with the both of us. What a treat. But yeah, actually, let's have Marisol come on and let us know more about the SOC survey.
Has this live forum been informative and useful to you? What part of the forum could be improved or changed to make it better? Please take a quick survey that's located in the comments section so that we can keep 3 o'clock with SOC going for residents. Thank you for tuning in.
And then other than that, just again, reminder that tomorrow is our 100th episode. So make sure that you are registered to attend if you want to be a part of our little Zoom party. That is in the comments for folks to register that way. And if not, you can definitely tune in and see us on the live tomorrow with all of our guests. And then again, tomorrow, that's tomorrow. And then for the rest of the week, we're rolling out our new forum schedule. So Wednesday, we'll have our Spanish Day. Thursday will be Marlene with us, devoted to COVID. And Jamal Smith will be with us from the Office of Violence Prevention. And then Friday is going to be devoted to our organizing, leadership, and community development team. And we are going to have the new Milwaukee Police Department District 2 Captain Salazar on with us to talk about everything that's going on with MPD. So you definitely want to tune in all of this week. And we look forward to having folks on our 100th episode tomorrow. Now more than ever, our solidarity is with the protesters, and especially with families who have had victims of police brutality or experienced any kind of mistreatment from the police. Stay safe out there in the protests, and much love and solidarity to anyone that is out there protesting. And then, of course, our thoughts and prayers are also with those that are impacted by C-19, especially those who have experienced illness or death. And with that, I will leave a video for our funder and partners.
I'm Juan. And I'm Mitzi. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show.
And for completing our SOC survey.
In addition to thanking our residents and tuning in and sharing our show.
We would also like to thank our sponsors.
Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Wisconsin Voices.
City Development Block Grant.
Zebler Foundation.
City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention.
Movement Voter Project.
Tide Foundation. City of Milwaukee Promise Zone.
12th District Alderman Jose Perez.
All the faithful individuals who support SOC
through their personal donations.
Thank you.